Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to our first ever presentation on VSPEED of the National Sim Racing League Association ARCA Series. Gonna be a fun one here tonight, little preseason action on VSPEED for the first time. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Cook, and I am very glad to be joined by someone I like to call a friend, Rob, the four-time Raider of the Racing Revolution Cup Series, joining me here in the booth tonight. Introduce yourself, Rob.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. Normally I race with Racing Revolution, but it's pretty cool to be out here tonight, and I'm excited to see what these ARCA cars are going to be able to do around the racetrack tonight. It should be a pretty interesting show. These cars are a little different.
Definitely are a little bit different, and if you haven't already, go check out VSPEED Sim on X or VSPEEDSim.com on the World Wide Web. Get your fill of everything VSPEED. We talked a little bit about it. Charlotte Motor Speedway is where we're at tonight, and you, sir, have won here in some pretty big races. Why don't you tell us how to get around this 1.5-mile racetrack?
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. Thanks for the shout out there. Yeah, I have had some success here, and what it comes down to is that you can use both of the lanes of this racetrack, but especially down there in turns 3 and 4, when you're coming out of turn 4 and you're on the top side, you don't want to venture too high up there because that turn 4 wall will reach out and get you. The shaping of that is a lot different than turn 2. But other than that, these guys are going to be racing side by side in what's probably a tight race car tonight, but should be a good race.
Awesome, appreciate that insight. Thank you for that. And as we mentioned, this is a preseason event. The regular season schedule up on your screen. We'll be getting after it in about 5 weeks' time here. 5 or 6. I didn't actually do the math, so just let's hope that it works out. July 5th at Daytona with these cars should be a lot of fun. Make sure to hit the notification icon so you don't miss a moment of these races coming up here on VSPEED, as we are just about to hit the grid. I'm excited to be here. I just really like this racetrack. I have also won a single race in my career at this place, so I hold it in high regard. I don't win all that often, but glad to get one done here. But let's show everyone who is going to start where, shall we? Starting on the pole, familiar name here on VSPEED, Jacob Cochran in the 8th will start first. TJ Elaine is going to roll off in P2 in the 51 machine. Third is going to belong to Toby Ritters in the 88. Gino Valenti will start in 4th. 5th place, Ryan Combs. David Moyer starts in 6th. Row 4 belongs to Andy Berry, league owner. And Tim Rourke will start in 8th. Your top 10, Justin Boltmeyer and Aaron Espy, 9th and 10th.
Yeah, starting 11th tonight is Ryan Collins. 12th, Stephen Gill. 13th is Derek Moss. And 14th, rounding out our field tonight for preseason, is Robert Moyer.
And that is your grid of 14 machines tonight. Let's get down trackside, as we just started to roll off of pit road. And now is a great time to talk about our race analysis. Race length, 60 laps here tonight. Pit road speeds 45 miles an hour, very easy to speed here, although this is a relatively easy pit road to get onto. 3 tire sets, I believe that is 1 on the car and 2 laying. 1 green-white checker if we require it, as well as a fast repair in case you get in trouble. 24 to 28 laps of fuel will get you a fuel run here, so you're going to have to pit like twice in this race unless you can really stretch it to a one-stopper with a caution or 2.
It's a pretty short race too, Morgan. 60 laps are going to click by pretty quick here. It's going to be interesting to see how aggressive these guys are going to be right off the jump. Especially maybe you didn't have the qualifying session you were looking for. You're starting a little further back than you'd like to be. How aggressive are we going to be to get started knowing that this is only a 60-lap race?
As well, it's a preseason race, so no points on the line, so you can really take a few more chances than you normally would, but absolutely great point there. But we're about to get after it here. Green flag in hand. And preseason is underway. Past the start-finish line for lap number 1, Jacob Cochran is going to be the leader of that lap. See a few different lines being run here throughout the field. A lot of side-by-side back here at middle of the pack.
It looks like the inside line's preferred by these guys. Oh, we got one turn down the back straightaway to turn 3.
That is David Moyer. And we saw that one live here on the backstretch. 24-33 got together. Let's go back on a VSPEED instant replay and see what caused this incident. Take us through it, Rob.
Let's see here. Obviously, he's going to move to the inside here of the 21. Kind of hard to read the number
Andy
there
Berry,
on top of that car. He's going to try to fit his way up here. Well, the 24 does come down a little bit as well. They kind of meet in the middle there. I don't know. How do you score that one, Morgan?
That is a tough one. I would say a bit of a racing incident this early in the race. It is preseason, as we mentioned. We're just trying to figure out kind of how these drivers race. So let's go back here. Let's see from the in-car.
My initial thoughts there, Morgan, were that the 33 was going to try to squeeze his way up in there and kind of establish where he was at on the track. But the more I look at it, kind of looks like maybe he started to do that, realized that the 24 was there, and then at the last moment there, the 24 kind of came down off the wall. But it's hard to say hard to really pin that on anybody, I think, just two cars going for the same space.
Agree. Just a little hesitation early in this race, I think, is all that was, trying to get the nerves out and the jitters out. And good news for these drivers is they all have a faster pair to burn. So if things do get squirrely like they did there on the opening lap, or second lap, whatever it was, it's okay, because you still have an opportunity to get a brand new race car. And if the damage isn't too bad, which neither of those cars really got hit all that hard, just scraped up against the wall, should be pretty easy to get these things fixed in probably 40 seconds or so.
Yeah, it's kind of a best case scenario. If you're gonna wreck, that's a decent way to do it, because none of those hits were particularly hard. But if I haven't had a ton of experience in this ARCA car, but I imagine that they're probably pretty resilient as long as you don't end up with wheel damage, and I think these guys are probably going to be okay here moving forward. But I also did notice, Morgan, we had a couple other cars that came down pit road there. TJ Elaine came down and Tim Rourke came down. I wonder if those guys just came down and topped off with fuel. If they did, they could be sitting in a pretty nice position right now to make it on one stop, while these other guys may not be able to do it based on what we're looking at here on fuel mileage.
Yeah, well spotted. I mentioned at the top of the show is that we were going to be really close to one-stopping this. This is the caution required to one-stop it. If you're able to stretch it to 28 laps of fuel on both stints, you can make it to the end or get really close to it anyway, as we check up heavily here on the front stretch. But yeah, great call. I think a few drivers definitely are sitting in a much better spot now. TJ Elaine being the leader of those. So we have a choose cone here, it looks like. Maybe not. TJ Elaine in 51, the first driver who hit pit road there. Didn't take tires, just fuel only, 4.8 in the box, but should be able to see that 51 car rip through the field here pretty quickly.
And TJ Elaine, one of the highest I-rating drivers in the field, so I have a hard time believing that was a mistake. This is clearly a strategy play by him. We'll see if it works out here if we get a long green run.
I definitely agree with that. Big split in the ratings. We're talking about it before the race here. Is a lot of drivers just in very different categories in terms of your iRacing bands. We've got some rookies. We've got some drivers all the way up in A class. Some drivers up in the 3,000. Some drivers in the triple digits. There's just a big spread across this field, and it's kind of rare you see that in a league. Typically, like you're familiar with Racing Revolution, everyone's kind of packed together. Like the range is only about 500 iRating. From top to bottom in that league, so this is just a welcome surprise here.
Yeah, and it can make for some fun racing too, Morgan. And especially starting off a new league, obviously the big thing is we need as many hands on deck as we can possibly get, and so you do end up with a big variance. But we're going back green.
Right, we are into the restart zone. Good launch by Cochran on the inside.
20, what we're wrecking behind on the 21, I think either was in the wrong gear or maybe missed a shift. Kind of caused a stack up back here.
27 stopped in the racetrack. We got cars all over the place. Andy Berry's, I think you said who that started with.
Yeah, it was Andy Berry there. Just had a tough time getting out of the restart zone here.
All right, well, let's go back and see what happened here. Further back than that. But he did not go. You were absolutely right about that.
And in the 03 there, he's in a tough spot, right? So the way that iRacing works is you can't pass on the inside there. So he pulls inside to avoid the contact, and then as soon as he's avoided that, he's got to try to pull back right. He can't just maintain his momentum down there and gets himself crossed up. So definitely a tough break there for Stephen Gill. No fault of his own here.
Yeah, definitely a tough incident there, and you appreciate that he didn't just jam it up the middle 3 wide, and that he tried to do the right thing. It's just unfortunate that is the way iRacing works, that you can't dive to the middle, because you can see the fluid leaking out on the bottom of that car as that thing is all wadded up here on the replay.
I'd like to, if we can, to go back and get an onboard view here with Andy Berry.
Okay.
I believe he was in 4th gear, Morgan. A lot of times they'll try to save fuel,
right,
or caution, and run that higher gear. And I think, and I've done this on a couple of occasions. It happens to all of us. You get in that restart zone, those guys launch, and you realize, uh-oh, I still got it in 4th gear, and he does his best to try to get down there as second gear as quick as he can. But at that point, he's already started to stack things up.
Yeah, unfortunately, not able to find that replay. But I think you're exactly right. I've definitely done it as well, where because the higher I think you mentioned, the higher gear that you're in, the lower RPMs, the less fuel you burn. So it's advantageous, especially in a race like this, where you're going to be tight on fuel, to do that. But you got to make sure you pull it out of 4th gear before you get into the restart zone, or you're going to have a bad time. And usually it ends up worse for the driver who is right behind you than it is for you being stuck in 4th gear.
Yeah, that is kind of unfortunate too, isn't it? Andy Berry is the one with the little mistake there, and it ends up costing somebody else, and it always seems to work out that way, Morgan. But fortunately, hopefully the damage isn't too bad there for the 03 Stephen Gill.
He has left the session, so.
Yeah, well, I guess that answers that question.
It does. It does. Unfortunate for the 03. Going to be out of this race early. He will finish 13th here tonight. But I've definitely done that. There was an NIS race at Auto Club where I was second. It always seems to happen to the driver who's either in the front row or the second row. You probably noticed as well. That's always the driver shift to shift down into second or first, wherever you're restarting in. But I had a race where I was leading the outside lane, and I forgot to shift down back to second for the restart, and I stacked up the entire field behind me. And they weren't too big fans of me that day. It happens.
When you're running up there, you've got a lot on your mind. You're trying to make sure you're maximizing your fuel savings. You're trying to keep track of the different strategies. In this race, you're keeping track, okay, what are those guys that pit for fuel? Did they take tires? Are those guys, where are they restarting? What line are they in? You're paying attention to a lot of different things, and it's easy for something to slip, especially when that soothing sound of 4th gear and those lower RPMs kind of lulls you into a false sense of security sometimes, I think.
Yeah,
I made this mistake a couple times last night in the Indy 250 race you guys put on. Unfortunately, I had some teammates of yours saying, remember to change your engine map, remember to change your gear. Otherwise, I might have landed myself in the same situation.
Yeah, I've definitely also taken off in fuel map 8 in those Indy cars, and it does not go. I was left by the time they got into turn 1. I wasn't even in the frame anymore. So I've been there, done that as well. But Barney's got the green flag in his hand again here into the Geico restart zone, and we have launched one more time to complete lap number 9.
Another great launch by Jacob Cochran. He's been pretty much uncontested on the starts and restarts so far tonight. Out to a nice, comfortable 3-4 car lead as they exit turn 2.
And the battles are on behind him as the top 5 single files out. The battle is back here a little further. Oh, the 27's in the wall. Oh, net code heavy there. Oh my goodness. 4 or 5 drivers involved.
This might, it is a caution.
There it is. I think there was a driver up on the racing surface. I think it was the 7 machine. Yeah, you can see his tire tracks there. It all started with the 27, Robert Moyer. Not a great day for the Moyers in this one.
Off to a tough start for sure. And this looks a lot like our last incident. That car on the top, I believe, kind of came down in the right rear of the car below. Man,
exactly
heavy contact there.
Exactly. Let's ride on board here with Ryan Combs. I think he had probably the best view of it from above his shoulder. Let's look at the yellow and the blue car through the windshield here.
Nowhere to go. Landed to his left, and then he's got the right front toe link broke on that thing, and it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the tire barely turning. Definitely not what you want to see. Has a meatball flag, the too much damage to continue flag. But I do think you're right about. I do not recall who that car was. I think it was the 24, maybe the 7. I think it was. Came down a little bit on the 27 and around the
7 of Ryan Collins. So I wonder, we've seen the same kind of incident twice now, Morgan.
Right.
I wonder if maybe, I don't know if we can see this necessarily laps and this car is prepared for this race, I noticed that there's a big-time steering offset. And so when you're going down the straightaway, you actually have the wheel turned a fair amount to the right in order to go straight. However, if that's catching these drivers up as they're going down these straightaways, if they're not prepared for that, they may be holding the wheel straight, which is dragging them left. Does that make sense, Morgan?
I do. I understand what you're saying.
They intend to go arrow straight, and that's just not what the car is doing with the way the setup is.
Right, yeah, you offset the wheels, and if I'm not please correct me if I'm wrong about this, you offset the wheels so that your hands are in a more comfortable place while you're mid-corner, right?
Exactly,
That's typically why you would run offset, because the straightaway, you just hold it so that the car doesn't veer left or right, is the theory, and then in the corners, it makes your life easier when you don't have to crank it 90 degrees, you only got, or 90 is a bit of exaggeration, you don't have to go 50 degrees, you only have to go 30 degrees or whatever the case is. But yeah, it can definitely trip up a newer driver, and as we've talked about, a lot of inexperience in this field, so guys just trying to log laps at this point, and I think that's all that was.
Yeah, that's my current theory, but you know, I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again, but that definitely could have something to do with it here tonight. But it's like Cochran's chosen the outside here for this restart, Morgan.
It looks that way. He's been launching off the bottom for most of these. We'll see what the top side does for him. Also should point out,
back on the pace car, so we've delayed the start here.
You're right about that. Only 4 drivers have yet to hit pit road. And that's your top 4, Cochran, Espy, Valenti, and Barry. Everyone else has made it to pit lane at least one time here today. Meaning I believe all those drivers who've hit pit road can make it to the end, or sorry, can make it on one stop on fuel. Still right on the edge, I would say, for Espy, Cochran, Barry, and Valenti to make it on one stop. But these cautions are definitely helping them.
Yeah, no doubt. I think at this point, they're probably also okay. I mean, obviously they're closer, but if we get even just one more caution, I think at that point you could say that these guys who haven't pit are also in the same situation with a one-stopper. You can save so much fuel under caution. But we're exiting turn 4 here, getting ready for another restart here, Morgan.
Yeah, to take the one to go here as lights are on the pace car, as you mentioned earlier.
That's right. We delayed the start.
Yeah, we did. That's okay though. That's fine. Gives us more time to look at the weather. Yes, the weather. 78 Fahrenheit. It is a very hot track out there. 121. That's in like rare steak territory, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little into the blue rare territory, but that's getting after it.
It's too cold for me if we're talking steak.
Yeah, agreed. Me too.
Really nice track temperature if we're talking track temp.
Yeah, agree with you there. Definitely. I don't want my steaks where a well-trained engineering can bring them back. That's not what I'm looking for. But little race recap for you. 3 cautions, and Jacob Cochran has led every lap so far. All 13 we've completed, and we're working lap number 14 of 60. As we mentioned earlier, this is a preseason event. Put the schedule up on the screen right now. There it is. Join us back here July the 5th for a race at Daytona. Then the week after that, we're right back here at Charlotte. Should be a fun one, same time. Apologies also for the stream being delayed from when it was scheduled to go live to when we went live. To technical difficulties with the sessions, among other things. It's a new league, people trying to get it off the ground, mistakes happen, everything is just fine. But we're having a good one here.
That's why you run a preseason, Morgan. You got to figure out all the little things, make sure everything is lined up just right. We've launched a couple of leagues over here on my side of the world, and it happens. It definitely happens.
It sure does. Field in the hands of the 8 machine. Another great launch. 21's really having troubles on these restarts.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. I'm not sure maybe what caused that one. We do see a fair amount of like spacing between the cars here as well on these restarts. Guys just trying to give each other a little space, and just wonder if it's one of those things where you're just kind of waiting on the guy in front of you to go. Either way, though, we are out to a pretty decent start here. We got the guys single filed out. Hopefully in for a good green flag run. Yeah,
33, David Moyer popped the wall there off of turn 4. We talked about that at the top of the show. It is going to be very tight throughout this race. This thing is not going to want to turn. Front tires are loaded up, and that turn 4 wall is the likely location we're going to see contact with the outside retaining wall.
Absolutely, and Aaron Espy is right on the rear bumper here of that number 8, Jacob Cochran. These two guys, I wasn't sure really how much speed Espy was going to have, but it looks like he has speed to take to that
8 car. Now, also worth noting, these guys are teammates as well, the 3 and the 8.
So I suspected that there with the number coordination.
As well as the AER on the front end of the 8 machine. That is Aaron Espy Racing as well. So they're going at it. Oh, we got a spin back here. 44's around. Tim Rourke.
Involved. Get a stop. There we go.
That's, yeah, you don't want to add insult to injury.
Wall.
Let's check it out.
Run on these guys down the back straightaway here. And then I wonder if he got out of the gas really early there, but there's that tight condition we were talking about out of the 42 there at Derek Moss. Be a little aggressive on corner entry there and drifts up the racetrack and finds in the left rear quarter panel.
We'll be able to see this really well looking at the RPMs down on your bottom left there. See, watch the middle of the corner.
Still over aggressive in there, and the dirty air also is, it's an issue in all the stock cars these days, but the ARCA car is no exception to that rule. Gets in there a little deeper, it's up the track, contact is made. Hopefully everyone is okay to finish the race.
And this is a car I believe that was modeled off of the previous generation NASCAR Cup car, the Gen 6 car, if I'm not mistaken. And those were some of the most aero-dependent cars that NASCAR's ever come out with. So it would not surprise me if drivers are really feeling the effects more in dirty air. I know you did your practice, probably single car. So if it was tight in a single car formation, I could not imagine how tight this thing would be behind another car.
I did run a little bit of AI session there, just to get a feel for the dirty air, and it definitely does exist. It's not quite as tragic as it is in some of the other cars, but it's not good. There's no doubt, and unfortunately, I did just make mention of hopefully everyone's car is okay. It looks like the number 42 there of Derek Moss, he does have a right front tire, right front wheel that's broken on that machine, and that may spell the end of his night.
Yeah, it is looking that way. Stephen Gill did come back to the session, by the way, still on pit road. Currently 12 laps down. Quick through your field here while we have a chance. The ticker up on the screen there. Jacob Cochran is your leader. Aaron Espy running in the second spot. There he is. And Andy Berry running in the third position. David Moyer is in fourth. Ryan Combs currently rounds out your top 5. TJ Elaine in the 6th position. Tim Rourke, we just saw him go for a ride. He is in 7th. 8th spot belongs to Gino Volanti. 9th will be Robert Moyer. 10th will be Ryan Collins. 11th will be Derek Moss. 12th will be Justin Butemeyer. And 13th will be Stephen Gill. Those last 4 drivers a lap down or more in this race.
All right, so we've gotten all the wrecking out of the way now, Morgan. That's the good news that I have for you. We're ready for a nice long green flag run that's going to get really interesting because everybody is on one-stop strategy from here. But I don't have confirmation of this, but I believe we may have some type of mixed tire strategy. Some guys may have gone ahead and taken a set since they had 2 laying. This could get really interesting. We do have the teammates up front, but we also have lots of other skilled drivers here behind them. We'll see how things work out once we get some green flag under our feet here.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, to different tire strategies, I want to bring something up just to kind of put it in your ear for later in the race. Maybe this, because we all have to make one more stop, maybe 2 tires is a call we make later in the race.
I like where you're going with this. 2 tires from where we're going from here might be the call, Morgan. We'll keep an eye on it.
All right, back into the restart zone here. The 3 and the 8 lead the front row, and they are both off one more time. Field stacks up behind him pretty significantly. Andy Berry gets away clean.
Andy Berry with the restart of the night for him. Got himself into third. See what he can do with it.
Top three have checked out on the field here. It's about 10 car lengths back to Ryan Combs in the 99, who's also, we've seen him have his issues today. A lot of drivers have had war-torn vehicles here, but still out on the racetrack.
Damage earlier and also a little bit of blinking. Looks like both of those things have resolved themselves, though, and now Ryan Combs finds himself in the 4th position. See if he can track down the leaders.
Closest battle on the racetrack right now looks to be Combs, Moyer in a lane. 4, 5, 6. Everyone single filed out here. Ready to log some laps. That's what you got to do here. Save that right front. Save a little bit of fuel. Get yourself so that you can spend the least amount of time on pit road that you can. From when you do end up making that pit stop, hopefully under green here. Go and win this race.
Save the right front is the key. In my practice here in this car, just trying to get a feel for things. It was way up the track here, further back. Maybe a little contact here with the 44. Who's that? Rourke. Looks like they got it settled out for now, but the car is so tight, you just burn that right front tire off. You really have to be patient getting back on the throttle. The center of the corners are so tight, but that's where that second lane kind of comes in and helps Morgan. I'm a big fan of that second lane on this racetrack, and as the car gets tight, as the run moves on, I expect to see guys start to migrate up. You can't run all the way up at that wall. This car and this racetrack don't like that, but you can kind of get that middle lane on or just above that seam. Seems to really work well with these cars. I expect to see that as we move forward and the tires start to wear.
And right on cue, TJ Lane running that line right below that seam. He straddled it in 1 and 2. And as you can see, great exit here as he's going to drive away. Gino Volanti just a little bit, catching up to David Moyer, who caught the wall again there off of turn number 4. 33 on the outside wall of 4, become well acquainted. I think that's the 4th or 5th time he's had a little bit of a brush with it, but they're getting friendly, and hopefully they don't get too friendly, because the wall will definitely bite you here.
You see the fire come out of the tailpipes there. The 3 had to get out of the throttle a little bit there in the middle of the corner. Again, that's that tight condition, so he's kind of flirting with trying to figure out how hard he can dive it in. He's been making up a little bit of time on the entry, giving it away a little bit on the exit. So he's just kind of finding that fine line of exactly how hard he can run here behind Cochran. This can be valuable information when you get to the end of this race. Now he's trying the top.
The other thing to note here is the top 3 still have to pit here pretty soon in this race. They have not hit pit road at all yet. We had 26 to 28 on the fuel calculator, what we understood, but of course with all the cautions that we've had, and we have had 4 of them at 3 apiece, probably could go to about 33 to 35, I would think. So I would expect these drivers to come in here in about the next 5 laps or so, and then that will definitely shake up this field, as we have not seen green flag stops yet.
Yeah, we've had so many caution laps so far. I'm really not sure how far these guys can stretch. You say 33 to 35. Seems like a pretty good estimate to me. Maybe even a little longer, depending on how much they've been able to save at this point.
One driver definitely not saving anything. One of the last on pit road is TJ Lane, who is one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack. Fastest driver not up in the top 2. Trying to work around Ryan Combs here.
That man does not need to save anything right now. He's on a mission, working on passing the 99 of Ryan Combs as we speak around the outside. He's going to complete the pass, I bet, down here in 1 and 2. There he goes.
And this is essentially the battle for the lead once these top 3 have to pit. So definitely worth it to go out and get that spot. And he should be able to sail right around Andy Berry as well, who is going to have to pit here in a couple laps as they both try and climb the banking.
Like where Lane's got himself here. He's in an excellent position. He has the fuel, may have the tires as well. Actually, yeah, I believe he's come down pit road 3 times. So yeah, he's going to be much better off on fuel than these guys ahead of him, and he has the pace. He's in the catbird seat at the moment.
I don't think he's taken tires yet also, so he should still have that one extra set laying if we're going to one-stop this race. So that is also good news for the 51. And I think Barry's going to tank the wall hard. Yeah, he got it really hard.
Yeah, that might hurt here. Hopefully the right front of that race car is okay. That was a hard hit.
Looks like his hands are still pretty straight on the wheel, so I think he's okay in terms of suspension damage.
And that's that turn 4 wall. It is shaped. It was shaped by the devil, I'm convinced, because in turns 1 and 2, you have this nice little, consistent curve the whole way with the wall, and then turn 4, it's like they ran out of space during construction. And if you're too high up the racetrack, right when you get to the exit, it just cuts the corner off. If you're too high, there's almost nothing you can do at a certain point to avoid the wall.
And we've all been victim. If you've raced this racetrack, you've hit turn 4's wall in some way, shape, or form. You've definitely found it. That's kind of like it's like a Darlington stripe, but it hurts so much more because you can't keep going if you pancake the side of the car on that outside
another
wall.
one right here. But he got out of the gas majorly in order to avoid it, and did. Good job there. At 33 in Moyer.
Absolutely is. The 24. Just in Butemeyer. 8 laps down here, just trying to log some laps, salvage the day. Caught up here in the battle for 7th between Moyer and Rourke. A couple drivers who've had their issues already today. As we've officially crossed halfway in this race, and the caution is out.
Looks like somebody
Collins.
right at the entry of pit road there.
Yeah, you're right about that. I think he probably blew the motor there. Let's see what caused 7 to lose power. Looks like he spun on his own. Already you can hear that car underpowered significantly.
A lot of damage in previous incidents.
Interesting. It sounds like he downshifted and it kind of threw the tires around, and then I'm not sure what happened here.
And I'm not sure why that would be a caution unless there's a spin out again, maybe, or.
Well, I think an incident that is right in front of pit road or right out of pit road will trigger a caution.
Interesting. Well, we do have the leaders down pit road right now, Morgan, and looks like they have a fair number of cars following them, but not quite everybody.
It looks like Gino Volanti is going to stay out here. Looks like everyone else in the field hitting pit road.
Right here with only 25 laps to go, this should put everybody in the window to make it from here without another pit stop for fuel.
Yeah, this is your money stop. We already saw one further back miss his pit stall. I think that was Moyer. Cochran and Elaine make it out 1-2 off the pit road here. SB right behind him. This is just getting good.
Is going to be the leader of the race here for this restart. He did just run 16 laps there on the tires and fuel, so maybe just trying to throw something different at these guys and see if maybe a well-timed caution can help him out track-wise, but I do not believe he can make it to the end on fuel where he's at.
No, I wouldn't think so, and it has to be said that caution was a savior for Cochran and Espy, as well as Barry, who, if they didn't have that caution, they would have to come down pit road here in the next couple laps anyway. Would have handed the lead over to TJ Elaine, who was driving away from the field. So this kind of brings everybody back together. Same strategy, other than, of course, the 35. Should be about a heads-up race to the end here.
Yeah, this puts everybody on the exact same strategy, the exact same tires. And, we've got what appear to be the 3 fastest cars all up here in the top 5. So we should be in for a good finish to this race.
I think so, as the pace lights are out on the pace car. And we're talking about 2 tires. It didn't end up coming to fruition here, but if I'm understanding properly, if this car is so tight, putting 4 fresh tires on it and it already rolls off of the run tight, it's sometimes beneficial to put 2 right side tires on this thing to loosen it up. And did you try that at all in your practice, Rob?
I didn't try it in my practice run, and as much as I do like the idea of taking 2 tires in some scenarios, right here, knowing that you know, maybe this is the last pit stop of the race. I'm putting 4 on it every single time. But one thing that I want to keep an eye on for this restart, this is the first time that Jacob Cochran has not been in control of this restart. So he's not going to get that big jump out to the lead that we normally have seen so far this race. And TJ Lane, who is maybe the second fastest car that we've seen here so far tonight, is restarting right behind the leader. This is a great opportunity for him to take control of this race.
Yeah, because as the third place car, you can kind of cheat the restart a little bit and launch
Absolutely
a fraction early, and even sometimes push the leader through the restart zone, and then you basically instantly take over second spot. So see if that is employed here as you don't get to these higher I ratings without learning a few tricks.
Yeah, there's definitely some tips and tricks that you come across along the way, but we're about to enter the restart zone here. Morgan, take us away.
Into the zone for the first time tonight. As you mentioned, a driver that is not the 8 machine is going to be on the inside of the front row. Able to get away clean is Volante.
Lane got a good restart too. He's going to be inside of the 8 car down here, but he's going to have the dirty air. It's going to be interesting to see how things work off turn 2 and down the back straightaway. He's going to try to fit his way up. No, he doesn't. Leaves room there for SB on the outside.
3 wide for second, and it's three of the fastest cars today. As Cochran gets out to the lead, and they're still 3 wide. Here through turn 4.
Lanty's doing a really good job of keeping control of that car on much older tires. Unfortunately, does not have the pace to put on a show with these guys in front of us, but we are side by side with the lead. SB and Cochran exiting turn 2.
Looks like Cochran backed up the entry pretty significantly. SB was able to dive it down in the center of the corner, could not get the good exit off the corner as Barry just about caught the wall on the entry here. He's back to 4th. As now basically your 4 fastest drivers of the day have now retaken spots 1 through 4.
SB tried the high side there. It looks like early in the run, maybe not quite the pace he was hoping for. He tried to run top, didn't make a whole lot of ground. That dirty air is just devastating on the bottom though right now early in the run. You gotta wonder maybe if it's better to save the tire, but now he's got a car to his inside as we head into turn 3. Here comes a Lane.
This is always the part of the run that I was the most frustrated with, is you know you have to not burn the tires up, but you can't let drivers pass you because it's so hard to pass here the way this car is so tight. So you got to balance being able to attack, but being able to save and defend at the same time.
Yeah, it's super frustrating, and this is where it just plays into Cochran's hands. You know, right now he has the clean air. He has nothing to worry about. These guys are in an absolute dogfight behind him here, side by side, pretty close as they enter turn 3. And now here comes Barry with an opportunity to maybe go for
they got the wall. They're all in the fence. Oh, no. SB and a Lane. Oh, and more.
Wow. Coming.
Oh, that was close. Oh. Oh, they're backing up in front of the field, too. I thought for sure. I think that was Moyer. I thought Moyer was going to destroy them.
Yeah, that was bad for a second, but great job to avoid him at the last moment. Yeah, tough break for those guys there. Looks like just hard racing, and there's that turn 4 wall we've talked about all night, Morgan.
Yeah, well, we're going to go a lap in advance. This racing was just so good. It's, got to watch it again here. This also a pretty good break for Volante, who now is able to make that pit stop and flips to having the better tires on this run. But as you see, side by side, 51 on the bottom, 3 up on the top, and Barry pressuring him from behind as well. I think the 3 just got tight. Yeah, you can see it right there, the lift, and just nowhere for those guys to go. The 51 was tight as well, and see the 33. I think it was right there, yeah. Oh, no, there it is, the 27. Sail in there afterwards, and whew, that was close.
I thought we were getting ready to have quite the contact there off 4, but fortunately he misses it. This is just, it's so tough. It's everything we've been talking about the entire broadcast so far. He tries to stay out of the wall, but you can't, and then what happens is...
Well, the record behind him, too.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, we need to go back and see that. Somebody got the old pit barrels down there. Someone call Trevor Keith.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Where's TK when you need him? Let's see what happened to the 99. I think it was the 99 and the 44 got into it here. 35. Well, that's Valenti, who's on those really old tires, and yeah, just a case of trying to get out of the gas. And oh wow, the 44 got those barrels. Whew.
Morgan, we need an onboard shot for that one.
I think we do. That was tough. After this, we'll get back to the live shot. But wow, that was a big hit.
There's still 2 to go at the moment, Morgan. Should be all right, but let's see what he's looking at here. They're kind of looking to kind of land in his lap here. He's kind of along for the ride. There they are. Man.
Yeah, motor went boom too. Heard that.
Another
Yikes.
casualty tonight.
I said it,
helpless feeling.
and I said it last night in the VSPEED Indy 250 with a couple accidents. This is where you're really glad it's a sim and you're not in a real race car, because if you hit that wall that hard, that fast, probably would not be good for your health. So I'm glad to see that we're in the sim here tonight. Unfortunate that that car is pretty much KO'd, as most drivers have used a fast repair tonight. I think I only see 2 drivers, Jacob Cochran and TJ Elaine, who have not used a fast repair so far tonight out of your 13-car field. So it's been one of those nights here in Charlotte.
Well, you know, as a broadcaster, you're not supposed to pick sides, and I'm not going to pick sides, Morgan, but I will say I want to see an awesome restart out of Barry here. He has had the pace once we've gotten going, but he has struggled on the restarts tonight. Cochran has been having excellent restarts tonight. If they can stay pretty close to each other, I think Barry might have something for Cochran here. He just has seemed to have that speed once they get going. So we'll see what we got here once we get the green flag.
Is that some league owner to league owner sort of thing going on here? Because we've seen you win a lot in the league that you are that you manage there in Racing Revolution. Maybe Barry can get the first one in the league that he owns. So we'll see here as we got 17 laps to go when we get back to start-finish line into the zone. He timed it up really well, actually. The 21 launched at exactly the right time.
Was definitely a bit better, but it looks like Moyer's going to get through for second. He is clear of Barry as they get into turn 1, but tight maybe. Looks like he's got it under control. Let's see what he's got down the back straightaway, trying to make some ground on Cochran.
Yeah, we haven't really seen Moyer up in the top 5 at all here today. He has really turned it up, and he is right to the back bumper of Cochran. Maybe have our first lead change under green.
Really high up the track. Hopefully he can track it down. He does. Now it looks like Barry has a move on him. He's going to take it to the outside. Can he complete the pass down here in turns 1 and 2?
He's not going to drive it in nearly as deep as the 33, but he's also not going to wash up in the center like the 33. Barry's going to get right to the back bumper.
He's going to try the way high line. This is where it's hard to get off the corner. Let's see how he does. Tracks it down a little bit. Good job. Now he's got the run here on the 33 of Moyer down the front straightaway to turn 1. But now where do you go? You've got him everywhere in front of you.
You pretty much have to just sail it off on the high side of the corner and hope that it sticks. Because you can't go to the bottom and run right into the back of the guy.
Well, now he's going to take that momentum, go to the inside of Moyer, see if he can complete the pass down in 3 and 4. And if he does, he might have some pace there, but he's going to run the 33 up the racetrack here, gets out of the gas. Little contact with the wall there for Moyer, but they keep it straight. And now here comes Espy in the 3 car to the inside.
Yeah, Espy, who's ran second pretty much all day, he's going to go take away 3rd. They're going to try to anyway. It looks like he got tight. Oh, so did the 33. There's a pick situation. How does 3 wide sound?
Careful.
Oh my goodness.
And here comes Espy. I'll tell you what, he has run his way straight from the back all the way to the front. Race is definitely not over for him. He has an opportunity to come up here and win as we get really tight on corner exit again there with Moyer.
And Moyer got the wall pretty good that time. That was the hardest he's hit it all day. Hopefully those steering bars are still straight. Didn't break anything, but Espy and Cochran, the 2 fastest drivers on the racetrack, as we've seen all day. Not sure if we'll get enough time to get there, though. Catch the 8.
Well, and this is where I wish we just had some of those AWS analytics. Somebody can tell me exactly what we're looking at here for tires and all that type of stuff. But it might not matter because Barry's got a huge run out of 4. Looking to see if he can do something with him down here in the 1 and 2. So he's going to go to the high side.
Well, SB does have 7 lap fresher tires than the one in front of him and the 2 behind him, so that's probably helping him get through this field. Gio Volanti in the 35 also on that same strategy, as is TJ Elaine. So a little bit fresher rubber on the 3, but isn't going to be enough with 10 laps to go to be able to go up there and get his teammate.
Well, you say 7 laps fresher rubber. The problem is, I think 4 or 5 of those laps were under caution, so we're probably talking about more like 2 or 3 laps. With that said, though, I like fresher tires here. You know, especially in the simulator, the tires do make a difference. And as this run goes, if we do get a green flag run to the end, even just 2 or 3 lap fresher tires is going to be an advantage here for SB in second position.
Hasn't paid much dividend so far as they matched lap times that time. How about here? He was about half a tenth faster, so that is moving in the right direction.
Half a tenth means 10 laps to get to him, and we got 10 laps to go, so I like the way this is shaping up.
Yeah, the math is mathing right now, but it's going to have to be perfect here the rest of this run. You cannot let that advantage go away. And don't look now, but Andy Berry has caught back up the back bumper of SB, and TJ Elaine is not too far behind him either. Oh, as Berry got the wall there off of turn 4.
This car invites you to try to step over the line. You believe it has so much grid on entry at the beginning of the center of the corner that you believe you can get back in that throttle, and then the car just does not follow up on that promise as you get to the exit of the corner. And so you keep trying a little bit more, and it works until it doesn't. Then you catch the wall, and next thing you know, you're side by side and getting turned off. Turn 4, it looks like Barry, a little bit of contact. Not sure who that was with. I believe maybe that was Elaine.
Check out a replay here. I think it was Elaine who's right behind him. Not missing anything up front. Leaders matching lap times that last lap. So Barry went to the top, Elaine went to the bottom, and I think you're going to see the same thing we saw earlier where car gets tight right there. Not much you can do to avoid that one. Barry does a great job of not making it any worse.
It's a great save for what it was. Unfortunately, that probably is the end of his opportunity to win the race tonight.
I would think so, unless we're able to get a caution. He's able to flip a strategy of some sort as he's back in 7th. With how hard it's been to pass tonight, Cochran has led the vast majority of the laps here, 51 of the 54 that we've run, which is, that's some Rob Rader levels of dominance out here.
Love to hear it. It looks like Cochran's starting to stretch that lead out on SB just a little bit at a time, half a tenth at a time.
We had a battle there for 5th for a moment. Couple Moyers and a Volanti racing hard here.
Had to get out of the throttle there to avoid the wall. Did Moyer, and Moyer's gonna pass him. Like how I did that?
Yeah, very good.
Moyer show.
Yeah. 5 laps remain here at Charlotte.
No, that's Volanti, actually. My apologies.
It is. I try not to correct people if I don't have to, but it's okay. You did it yourself.
You go ahead and do it, Morgan. It's fine.
Anyway, 5 laps to go, coming to 4 laps to go here at Charlotte for the preseason race, the NSRLA ARCA Series, for the first time here on VSPEED. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel here. Check us out at vspeedsim.com or at vspeedsim on X. I've been Morgan Cook, of course. Rob, 4-time Raider here, joining me up in the booth for the first time as our leader. Bit of a connection issue. That's not what you want to see. But definitely appreciate the opportunity to be here and work with Rob and call this race. It's been a fun one. 3 laps to go to determine the winner, the first ever race in this series.
And right now, Jacob Cochran looks like it is well in hand unless we have another caution or maybe if that blinking continues. But driving away at the moment, no pressure out back, 2 laps to go. You just want to see the white flag so you can bring it home.
Absolutely. And last time he was a little bit slower than SB, but not nearly enough to be worried about. Let's check it this time. Cochran ran a 31.17, SB a 31.23, so he is about half a tenth faster as well. So should not be a problem on the rear view for Cochran, picking up where he left off from the Mystic Racing League on Wednesday, where I believe he dominated that race and won. And if it holds up, I think he's going to go 57 for 60 laps led here tonight if he's able to make it 2 more without incident.
That is a pretty impressive number, and the only reason why he did not lead those other 3 laps is because those were led under caution by another driver who had stayed out on pit road. Just a dominant performance tonight by Jacob Cochran. I've seen a few people try, but nobody has succeeded in passing him tonight.
That's incredible to say that no one has passed him under green. That's incredible. And into turn 3 and 4 for the final time tonight. Nobody in the shot out the rear view. The 8 machine of Jacob Cochran is going to win the first race here at Charlotte. It was also the first time he hit something tonight was after the checkered flag.
To make sure it passes post-race inspection, Morgan.
Absolutely. Chad can also be proud.
Very proud.
Incredible drive by Jacob Cochran. 58 laps led from the pole. I think they would call that simply lovely, would they not? Oh, he did not have the fast lap, actually. SB had the fast lap.
I believe it's Barry, actually, with the fast lap.
Yeah, good call. 31.19, or 30.19.
So you run 60 of those and you won the race tonight, unfortunately. Those don't pay out quite the same.
Right. Watch the 8 machine burn it down here. We will be back after a quick commercial break. You've been watching the NSRLA ARCA Series here on VSPEED. After our commercial break, we'll come back with results and an interview with your winner. Don't want to miss a moment of it. Stay tuned, everyone.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to VSPEED here at Charlotte for the National Sim Racing League Association ARCA Series, their first preseason race. 6 cautions in this 60-lap event with 2 lead changes, both happening under caution. Jacob Cochran led the vast majority of the laps, 58 of them, if I'm not mistaken, en route to winning from the pole. Aaron Espy ran second most of the day after starting in the 10th position. TJ Elaine, Villanti, and Moyer, David Moyer, are going to finish in the top 5. Robert Moyer going to finish right behind him in 6th. Andy Berry, after a solid run, finishes in 7th. Ryan Combs will finish 8th. Ryan Collins in 9th. And Jason Butemeyer will finish in the 10th position.
Looking at the back end of the field here, some guys with some tough luck tonight. You have Tim Rourke there coming away in 11th, Derek Moss in 12th, Stephen Gill in 13th. Toby Ritters is going to be at the tail end of the field tonight in 14th.
I don't believe Toby Ritters took the grid here this evening, as we only ran 60 laps, so 63 down. That's a tough day in a 60-lap race.
After how that one mathed out, the math is no longer math and Morgan.
Well, 3 pace laps, right? Yeah. Anyway, I hear you though. I hear you. Anyway, we've caught up with our winner here. Let's have a chat with Mr. Jacob Cochran, who had a phenomenal run today. Let's get him up here in the booth. Jacob Cochran, Morgan, and Rob up here in the VSPEED Victory Lane. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, the inaugural race for the National Sim Racing League Association ARCA Series comes to Charlotte, sees you win the pole, lead almost every lap, and win the race. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of feeling everybody out. I feel like it was a good preseason race. You know, gonna have your, you're gonna have your issues, but I think it was a good race. We kind of figured out what we have. Looking forward to the season starting.
All right, and just want to ask you about this car a little bit. Hopefully, I don't take your question, Rob. But so we were talking about tight all night, and you were the only driver to really experience clean air. And I'm not sure how much you were able to get in dirty air in practice, but how much better does this car drive in clean air versus dirty air?
Yeah, I mean, clean air is definitely king. Dirty air is not terrible unless you get right up on them. If you get right up on them going into the corner, it definitely pushes up on the nose. So, clean air was definitely, the way to go on this track. And it's just managing tire wear. I think that was the main thing, especially on that last run there. Just trying to keep the tires under you and make them last.
Rob?
And Jacob, it looked like you really had this race in control, as Morgan already pointed out here. You led 58 laps tonight, but it looked like at one point in the race, maybe fuel strategy was going to be a potential issue for you. A lot of these guys pit, they took fuel. Eventually, we ended up getting enough caution laps for that not to be an issue for you. But were you ever concerned about the fuel strategy in this race?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. When we started getting down to about 2 to 3 laps left of the tank, I knew the 51 had already pitted, and I knew he was going to be, I knew he couldn't go all the way to the end, but I know he could go, pretty far. So, um, you know, I at first I thought, with all the cautions that we were having, I thought we could stretch it to a one-stop race, which is thankfully what we were able to do. But definitely on that kind of longer green flag run we had right there in the middle, it got a little worrisome for sure.
Well, it all worked out for the best for Jacob Cochran here in the 8 machine. Anyone you want to shout out or thank for this dominant effort here at Charlotte?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys up in the V Speed booth. So glad you guys are on with us this season. Thanks for Andy Berry for and all the guys at the NSRLA league. We're trying to trying to get it going and put it off on the right foot. And then shout out to my team, Aaron SB Racing. 1-2 tonight. So hopefully we can keep that up. But me, Aaron, David, and Robbie, we're looking forward to a good season.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Jacob. Congratulations on the first preseason win here in this series. And maybe this can translate to Daytona here in just a few weeks on July the 5th.
Hopefully so. Daytona's a little tricky, so I tend to not finish in those kind of races. So hopefully we can just keep it clean and finish strong.
All right. Well, best of luck when we get there in a few weeks' time. But congratulations once again here at Charlotte.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
You bet that is your winner, Jacob Cochran, in dominating fashion. I haven't seen a race with that many laps led in a long time. Proportionally, it's been a minute since I've seen a race like that.
Yeah, I want to see that math, dude. How many how many laps? What's the percentage on 58 out of 60?
Yeah,
You got
that's
that one off the top of your head, Morgan?
off the dome. I do not have that one, unfortunately.
Neither do I.
But it's high. It's up there
It's
for
high.
sure.
It's way up there. Yeah, dominant performance out of Jacob Cochran tonight, and something tells me that might not be the only one that we see in this upcoming NSRLA ARCA Series season starting on, what'd you say, July 5th?
July 5th.
July 5th.
Yeah, let's get that schedule back up on the screen. Daytona, July 5th, then right back here at Charlotte. Kentucky and Wilkesboro are your first 4. This whole thing's going to wrap up the 27th of September in Las Vegas to crown a champion. Should be a fun one here this year. On Saturdays, make sure to tune in for the rest of the season when that season starts in a few weeks' time. So, last thoughts here after a fun one in Charlotte, Rob.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. We saw everything we thought we were going to see tonight. Unfortunately, for the rest of these drivers, Jacob Cochran had everybody's number tonight, went out there, dominated the race. But I do look forward to seeing what these guys can do once we start in with the regular season. And I did see on your schedule there that Lucas Oil Raceway is on the schedule. That is the second to last race of the season. That should be a pretty cool one. So I like what they're doing over here. The ARCA car's fun, and should be a good season coming up.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And if you like what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe to VSPEED here on YouTube. Check us out at VSPEEDSim on X, and make sure to check us out at VSPEEDSim.com and get your own VSPEED merchandise, shirts, hats, whatever else you want. And hey, you might even see some Racing Revolution gear on there in the near future. But for everyone at VSPEED, Rob Raider, my commentator here tonight. Got to thank Adam, Eddie, Bradley, Logan, everyone else that makes VSPEED happen. I've been Morgan Cook. Thank you. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time here on VSPEED.